Yes, dude. Yeah. What's up? Back in it. Back to it. Recording this the day you're seeing it. Never done that before. Live look at your boy, Willie B. Back in town in LA. Merry post-Christmas, belated Christmas, belated Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, man. Hope it was fun. Hope you spent time with your family. Or hope you didn't spend time with your family if that's what you were trying to avoid. Hope you successfully evaded them. Either way, hope you're having a nice wrap up of the year. It's this weird week now where it's, we're in between New Year's and Christmas. I don't want this week to exist. Just go right from Christmas to New Year's. Put Christmas at December 30th. Christmas is the 30th. No, yeah. December 30th is Christmas, and December 31st, that's New Year's Eve. Right? The first is New Year's Day, and boom, we're in it, dude. What is this week? I don't get it. Things are back to normal, and then everything feels weird again when New Year's is happening. Why am I so upset? Look, man, still working on 2024 tour dates. I assume I'll be heading out, like I've said, in the spring. March and April. That's probably when I'll be kicking off, so I'm not announcing anything yet. And make sure to go to my website and submit whatever city you want me to come to. That's very important information, not only so I can gauge where to go, but also so you get an alert for when I'm in that city. A lot of places I'm going to go back to. A lot of places I still have yet to hit. Places I've yet to hit that I would like to would be Vancouver, Vegas. Vegas to do my actual shows. Doesn't matter what that means. I did like a collab with Don't Tell Comedy last time, which is very fun, but it wasn't really my shows. Where else? Oh, Madison. Would love to do Madison. Buffalo. Those are just top. San Antonio. Those are some big cities I would like to hit next year, in addition to going back to some places. And so make sure to get your cities in. You know what I'm saying? And a couple things I got coming up. Content-wise, I'm putting together a best of crowd work video. Kind of compiling the best of my crowd work for the year throughout this whole tour. Going to put that up in the next couple weeks. Excited to put something like that out. I feel like it's nice to have some sort of body of work to point people to. I'm in the process of putting out an actual set of jokes that I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that, whether I do it with a Comedy Central, with a Don't Tell, or I self-release it, or do late night, for example. Still figuring out what that's going to look like, but crowd work stuff I can put out on my own. So I'm going to put that out. Really appreciate if you shared that, because that would be, hey, here's this comedian I like. Here's 15 minutes of his best crowd work. Pretty doable, right? Point everyone to that video. So putting that together right now. Pretty excited about it. And talked about maybe a couple months ago about this idea of doing kind of like a Patreon type of page where I'm going to put up unreleased clips and also clips where I need some feedback on and some thoughts on of, hey, should I post this? Should I cut this part out? Things like that. I want to make this very much a community type of feel. So look for that in the next month or two. And look, man, you guys are the real ones. I've realized, man. Not that I've just realized, but I've come to and even more of a realization that you guys are the real ones. A couple hundred people listen to this podcast every week, and y'all are the best, man. Like, y'all are my real people. It's one thing if you watch my clips, but it's another thing if you consume this podcast. Yo, thank you. Like, I feel the love, and I love you guys for that. So thank you for tapping into this, man. This is a very personal thing for me, and it's a small percentage of people who tap in. And so if you're one of those people, shout out. Look, man, I'm gonna recap the last shows of the tour and talk a little bit about Christmas, and then we'll get out of here and get on with our weird post-Christmas week. So, look, man, finish the tour in Florida. Florida's been good to me up to this point. I did those shows for the old people in Tampa/Wesley Chapel. That was fun. Did Orlando. That was super fun. And now we're back doing Naples, and I'm going to call it Fort Lauderdale for now. We'll get into that later. But either way, I did a little bit of interesting schedule where I did this club called Off the Hook Comedy Club in Naples, Florida. I was there for one show Tuesday, two shows Wednesday. Very bizarre scheduling. My agent sent it to me, and I said, let's do it. I'm not going to argue. She knows what she's doing. Club knows what they're doing. Let's do it. I didn't even realize it, but the club actually does shows like 7 days a week. Pretty legit. Shout out to that. Had a travel day on a Monday. Nothing really to report there. No headphone issues. No weird people. Nothing to report there. It's just weird to be on the other side of the country that quickly. You know what I'm saying? When you get there, you're like, man, why? How? We are in the other end of the thing. This is crazy. Cold as shit in Florida for some reason, by the way. I don't know how that happened, but I was outside shivering in Florida. Didn't even know that was possible. Got nothing. I got nothing for that so far. We're talking weather. We're talking travel. Let's get out of the way. Let's get to the good stuff. Did an Airbnb in Naples. That was, I think it was hotels were too expensive, and had a car the whole time. Did an Airbnb. Felt like humans in a nice little home. Beautiful home. Really nice home. My buddy Anthony came with me, and we went to Trader Joe's, and he was cooking us breakfast every day. It was a nice change of pace, man. Because when you're in these hotels, doing the run and gun shit with the one-nighters, you're always going out to breakfast, grabbing I've had so many Starbucks sandwiches in my life, those breakfast sandwiches, the double smoked bacons, the bacon goudas. Holy shit, I've had so many of those. If I have one more, I may officially lose my mind and abandon everything. I cannot have another one of those sandwiches. So the fact that I can have my boy being my little housewife in the kitchen, chefing up, little eggs and bacon for your boy. So nice, dude. He's a good cook, too. He knows what he's doing, and he likes it, too. Shout out to people who like cooking. I hate it. There's no part of cooking that I enjoy. The assembling and the tasting and the result. No. I just need give me the food. Give it to me. I don't need to. It's always worse if I make it because I'm too in the process of it. I'm too ingrained in what's going on. I need the end result. I hate everything I make. I can make one thing well. Well, two things well. I can make a really good breakfast, and I make a really good salmon. That's it. Everything else, you know what my best meal I cook is? DoorDash. That's my best meal. But Anthony likes cooking, so he was chefing up. Loved it. So this is an interesting dynamic with doing this club where I want to explain a little technical thing where it's I've explained kind of a door deal before, where you're basically getting a percentage of the ticket sales, and you either get that or what's called a guarantee, which means regardless of how many tickets you sell, you're going to get X amount of money. Let's say this isn't what it is, but let's say you're getting $1,000 for a show or something like that, right? No matter how many tickets you sell, you're going to get that $1,000. And I think happens to be a percentage where if you sell out, maybe you get even more money. Try to make it as simple as possible. So this Naples thing, it was another one of these markets where I've talked about before, where it's the Liberty Townships, the Louisvilles. It's these Louisville, however the fuck you say that, where I'm just being sent there with no real expectations of selling tickets. Which again, it was a thing where I wanted to go to the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area, and then my agent coupled it with this Naples thing, and I was stoked because it was a really good guarantee. Which means I didn't have this big pressure and incentive to heavily promote it because it very much felt like a good way to put the guarantee is you're just this week's comedian, right? It's a club who has a built-in fan base. It's hard to sell tickets there, and you're just the next guy. And I haven't done a lot of that this tour. A lot of my stress has come from worrying about selling tickets in a big market, albeit Indianapolis, St. Louis, right? Or even a Columbus. It's like those are legit markets that I should be able to sell tickets, But in a place like Naples, you're just the next guy. Here's the flat rate money. Go just do your job and be a professional. And to me, that's, as I'm burping through the sentence, that's awesome. I don't have to stress. I can just go out and do the part that I'm good at. Well, I'm good at a lot of things, but, just being a comedian has come very naturally to me at this point. So I can just go be a comedian. I don't have to worry about, what's the ticket counts at? Or, am I going to get this percentage? It's like, nah, just do stand-up. Here's some money. Do stand-up. Nice. I finally figured out the audio, by the way. Thank God. With this whole problem. I'm not cutting anything out, so I'm leaving in all my little weird things that I'm doing right now. And, the first day that I was in Naples, I had one of those days where I woke up feeling very grateful that this is my job. Some days are easier than others with gratitude, but I had one of those days. Guys wake up and work construction, and they're stressing about, how am I going to get this drywall to stick to this metal? I'm stressing about, how am I going to get this joke about boobs to work? Damn. Stressed. What a life. Got to the club, though, and this place was, I was just in a good vibe. The place also, it was really cool to be there because it's a very infamous club. It's called Off the Hook Comedy Club. I feel like Matt Rife has had a few clips go crazy there. I feel like you may recognize the background. It has this kind of red and yellow letters. I'll be posting clips from there, I'm sure, and you'll be able to recognize it. It's and regardless if he's kind of put them on the map, he was actually there the weekend before me, he was there that weekend selling out like 8 shows, and then I was there 2 days later. Interesting. But you look at the walls of people who've been there, and everyone's done this club. The flyers are like Kevin Hart, Andrew Schultz, Jesselnick, Sebastian. It's like everyone's done this club. So it was really cool to be there because I felt like I was amongst really great company, and I had now an opinion about such a legendary club. So it was exciting. It was interesting, though, where I had to walk. It was one of these clubs where sometimes the green room, you have to walk to get from the green room to the stage. You have to walk through the kitchen at a certain point, and which is always a little awkward. Like the people are like, what, the chefs are like busy, and I'm like, sorry, I have to get to the stage. And this place, legit, you had to walk like a good amount of time through the kitchen to get to the stage. I tell you what, man, let me start with this. Best comedy club food I've ever had. Unbelievable. I think the place originated as a seafood restaurant, and then they turned it into a comedy club as well. Dude, the food was unreal. I had like salmon and broccolini, ahi tuna steak burger, unbelievable chicken tacos. I've never eaten this well at a comedy club in my life. It was unreal. Now with that said, walking through the kitchen, this is not just them. Every time I walk through a restaurant kitchen, it never makes me want to eat food ever again. Oh my God, is it gross and hectic and sticky? I don't care how nice the restaurant is. I've never worked in a restaurant before. Dude, it's gnarly back there. You have no idea until you're back there. Whoa. I was dodging people. I felt like I was in The Bear. I was walking behind, in front. Yes, chef. Man. Tell you what, man, this was the first shows, though, of this tour. And it was funny that it was towards the end that a lot of people in the crowd were just not my fans, which I expected. But boy, did you feel the difference. These shows were work. And it was a bit of an older crowd as well, which I think some comedians would really struggle with that. I have plenty of older fans. You saw the clip of me talking to the seniors on the loose. Not intimidating for me. But when you're older and they're not your fans, it's a little bit of an uphill battle, and you just felt the difference. Especially at the beginning, it was the first show. It was the most packed show. The club seats like I think 250, and I think there was maybe 150 in there. And super slow start. Like I come out very strong when I go on stage. That first 10 minutes is I try to get people. I hit them hard quick. But boy, it was like a really slow start, and it felt like I had to almost abandon my material because the second I started doing crowd work, like the vibe switched. It was as if they just wanted that. Even the people that didn't even know me wanted that or something. I'm not sure what it was, but when I started doing crowd work, then we really started to cook. Tried some new stuff. Again, didn't feel a lot of pressure to bring the heat and really murder. Was just kind of like doing, going to do my best. I always do, and try a couple new things. Why not? Tried them. 2 of them worked great. 1 of them not as much. But again, didn't feel that pressure. Good vibes after. Nice people. Took a few pictures with some fans. Signed a Pokemon card. That was cool. Some guys had a stack of Pokemon cards on the table. Obviously going to ask them about that. They gave me one on stage, and I had it on stage. And, just I couldn't do much. I couldn't really find a lot of jokes with it, but it was just funny to be literally holding a Pokemon card on stage. Like, this is what this is my life's become. Signed it after, so that was cool. Posted that on Instagram. Good first night, man. Nice little warm-up night. Anthony and I went back and watched that movie Good Boys. It's like that movie, like the super bad movie, but with little like middle schoolers. Dude, that is one of the most underrated movies ever. We were laughing so hard at that movie. Dude, go watch that movie ASAP. We were dying laughing, quoting it all weekend, like looking at each other, like laughing. So much fun. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Oh, that's good. So Wednesday, the 2-show day. Woke up a little bit earlier. The first day I woke up at 1, East Coast. What are you gonna do? Woke up at 10:30. Really started to feel kind of the jet lag. Can you call it jet lag if it's 3 hours ahead? I feel like kind of a wuss saying it's jet lag, but I felt the weight. You know, just kind of a numb headache all day, and I felt that almost the whole time I was in Florida. It was tough, but you know. The vibe of Wednesday was a little bit different. I just felt a little bit more weight with some of the editing I had to do, some of the travel I had to book. Just didn't feel that same level of gratitude I felt the day before. Not really sure why. That's just how this shit goes sometimes. Ups and downs, highs and lows. 2 shows that night. One of them, again, this is a Wednesday, and there was a show at 6:30 and 8:30. Very bizarre, but this is, again, they know what they're doing. I'll show up and be this week's comedian. Early show was tough. Very tough. Crowd was, I'd say the most of my fans were at that first show on Tuesday, and the Wednesday crowds, not a lot of my fans. And boy, you felt it even more. It was just tough, man. You know, there's a dude in the front who was kind of this scary plastic surgery Florida looking dude who was buff as shit, who was like arms crossed, not smiling, pissed the whole time right in the front. And like avoiding eye contact. It's such a weird thing sometimes doing this, man. Because like, you know, these people who are not having fun, if they're up front, like I can see you being bummed that you're here. And also, if you're that bummed, why are you at a comedy show? Who dragged you here? Stop getting dragged. You're buff as shit. Fucking beat them up and stay home and watch WWE. Made the mistake of talking to a guy in the front also who was chatty. That's a mistake I need to stop making, is when, you know, people are being annoying. Don't engage them, because then they want to go harder. I made that mistake. Still, always learning. But look, still did well. Still doing well in these shows. I'm a professional. I'm very confident in my abilities, and I've done enough shows in my life, whether it's bar shows, packed shows, old shows, young shows. I can adapt, and I can, you know, I make my material versatile, and so everyone can get on board. So the show still went well, but it's just a different type of feeling. On the last show, it was the 8:30 show. Similar vibe, you know, pulling teeth. Anthony was doing great, and this one you felt him being like, Jesus Christ, and I went up there and I was watching him like, all right, here we go. One more. Let's muscle through this. And sure enough, I was just pulling laughs out of him. Just fucking, come on. Fortunately, though, I had one great crowd work moment. And I'm legitimately, bro, 3 shows, I had one crowd work moment that I loved. That's how different these shows felt. And that one moment really saved me. That like made all of the shows worth it, because it was such a fun moment, and I felt so happy about how I handled it, that it was just this, like, not like, I still got it, but it was more just like, I finally got one. So when you see that clip posted online, and whenever I post it, that's the one moment I had that I was so stoked about. So I was really excited. And then that night we were we took a walk. Look, Anthony and I like to smoke a little joint at the end of the end of the nights. You know, that's what we do. It's our little routine. We've been doing it all over the country, and we took a kind of a walk, maybe 3 houses down, as to not wake up the neighbors. Smoke a little joint, you know, recapping the night, having some laughs, and we get these bright lights come on, maybe 2 blocks away. Almost look like some sort of like some dude who has like a really souped up pickup truck, you know, bright lights, and we're like, not thinking much of it. We're like, this is weird, and they slowly start to drive toward us, and we're like, let's just walk towards the Airbnb. We should just go back anyways. Maybe let's just in case this is a weird thing, let's just walk back. Right when we get to like right in front of the Airbnb, We feel the car slowing down and stopping. And again, the lights were so bright that I didn't know what it was. But I remember saying to him, I was like, here we go. I don't know who this is, but this is going to be something. You know who it was? Cops. Out of nowhere. There were cops, just a one cop car parked 2 blocks away in a residential neighborhood chilling out. And I think what happened is they saw 2 dudes wearing beanies, cold as shit in Florida, smoking a joint. I had a beer in my hand. We walked fucking 3 houses down, chilling out. We looked suspect. I'll give them that. But they were like, hey, what are you doing? We're like, oh, we're just taking a walk. They're like, oh, well, where do you live here? We're like, yep, right there. I was chill. I don't freak out in those moments. I keep it pretty real. Because the cops, they're just people. I don't need to be like, oh, sorry, sir, we're not. It's like, yo, no, we took a walk down the block, and they were like, is that a beer? And I said, yup. They were like, yeah, you're not from here, are you? I said, no. I said, oh, it's an open container. That's against the law. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. We live right there. And they were like, all right, have a good night or whatever. And they drove off. We couldn't believe that the cops were just randomly there. Dude, legitimately a quiet residential street. Cops chilling, looking for trouble, like us. But we were just 2 silly boys. Silly LA comedians goofing around in the middle of the street. We're the opposite of sus. But I get, you know what? Check on us. It's all good. We still can't believe that the cops were there. It was so weird. So that was the last night in Naples. And the next day we drove to I'm gonna call it Fort Lauderdale. The last show on the tour was this place called the Dania Improv. D-A-N-I-A. People say Dania, Dania. I don't know what it is. Called it Fort Lauderdale. Because if I was like, hey, I'll be in Dania, people are going to be like, where is that? The Middle East? That sounds far. And it's so funny because Naples was on the west side of the state. Fort Lauderdale was on the east side of the state. We drove across the whole state of Florida in like an hour and 45 minutes. At normal speed. Bizarre that it didn't take that long. Easy drive. Last show at this place again, the Dania Improv. Brand new club. It's about, I think, 2 years old and never been there before. Heard great things. And boy, it was beautiful. Oh man, it was one of the best improvs I've seen. It was 300 seats. It didn't feel too cavernous. Just felt new and nice and kind of packed in. It was really, really great vibe and unreal food again. They like coupled it with this restaurant, or they were partnered with a restaurant, and the restaurant made seafood, and we had more seafood. I had crab cakes and like a shrimp rice thing. Oh my god, it was so good. I've never eaten this well on the road in my life. It was awesome. Ticket sales were good, man. I was so stoked to be in front of my fans again after these old Naples people who were pulling teeth. Now I know it's going to be my fans, and sold 170 tickets. Shout out. That's the most tickets I've sold in a couple of months, maybe. So the fact that I did that well in a market that I heard was difficult, and for the last show of the tour, I was really happy. And Anthony, the vibe was pretty like electric from the start. I was listening to Anthony's set, and he was killing. He had one of his best sets of the whole tour. So I was like, okay, cool. Because if the openers does that well, I'm gonna come on. I'm gonna do a little better. I'm gonna bring it a little more. So I was stoked. And it was one of those things that I talked about this in Boston, where these big moments. It was the show I sold out, and this one's the last show of the tour. Again, I almost couldn't really think about it too much, or I'd kind of get too in my head. Because I was building it up as this last show of the tour, and I almost felt like I was retiring. I still feel like that's how I, was presenting it. So that's why I wasn't talking too much about like the last show. But it was, man. 45 cities, and this was the last one. So it was a big deal. But I didn't want to I didn't want to think about it too much because, again, I was just sitting back in the green room while he was on stage. Like, holy shit, I can't believe I did it. I pulled this off. The crowd's banging, and I'm just like, had to get out of that. Let me reminisce after. Let me just treat this like any other show. And it was a great show, man. That was one of the most like supportive, clappy audiences. If I said anything about like, yeah, man, this is the last show of the tour, or yeah, I've been on tour all year, or just anything positive, they were like, yeah, clapping. It almost got like it felt like I was retiring. I was almost like in my head, I was like, stop clapping so much. This feels sad. Look, man, it was a great show. I didn't feel amazing about it. I think the crowd was really great. There was a woman who was very chatty in the front, and I kind of was, gave her shit in a nice way at first, and then I had to kind of shut her up, and I did it in a way that wasn't that funny and made the room weird. People weren't laughing, and I had to kind of get back on track, and I am still learning how to do that. Again, like, these people aren't heckling. They're just they're talking to you and saying shit out loud when that's not what this is. And when they don't get that the first time, the rule is I think you give them like 3 chances. The first time you kind of give them shit. Second time you're like, hey, can you please stop? And the third time you're like, all right, get the fuck out of here. Or that's extreme, but you know what I mean. It's you give them like 3 chances. Lately I've been giving people like 2 chances, to where it'll be 1, and then I'll go right to like, hey, you gotta stop doing this. You're interrupting me, and this is lame. Please stop. And I need to find a more tactful, silly way to do that, because I legitimately made the vibe weird, and I had to like get people back on my side. That's something I really want to work on for next year, is handling those situations a little bit better. Which I'm pretty good at it, but you know what I'm saying. I can be better about that. So that was annoying, but again, the show was like great, but there was just some moments where some stuff like murdered some of the best those bits have done, and some things like they kind of left me hanging on. That I was like, hey, where'd you guys go? What happened? I know how your potential. Get back there. So again, I'm such a perfectionist. I'm so neurotic with stand-up, where everything has to be perfect or else I'm not happy, or I have to have this amazing crowd work moment or else I'm not happy. I'm cursed by my own perfectionism a little bit. But again, like I've talked about, I'm not delusional. I wish I was a little bit delusional, but I strive to be one of the best. So, if I have an 8 out of 10 or a 7.9 out of 10, I want to do better. But that was some of the most love I've ever felt after a set, legitimately probably the whole year. I think I felt that once on one of my sold-out Chicago show, which was still, I think, my favorite show of the tour. When I finished the show and was like, thank you. I mean, you really felt the love there. But this one was, I think they really had more awareness of what was happening, more than I thought. Like, they really knew that it was my last show, I think. And when I put the mic in the stand and said, just thanked everybody for coming, it was, I mean, the applause and the cheers went on for so long that I almost didn't even know what to do with myself. It was so beautiful. And I put a bit of that in the recap video on my Instagram of all the cities. At the end, I put a clip from that applause I was getting, and it was really special to me. So you can see a clip of that on my Instagram in that video at the end. And it really felt amazing. So I really did my best to soak that all up and really savor that moment. I know it's gonna be a couple more months before I get to, do these types of shows. So it just really, really meant a lot to me. And that club will always hold a special place in my heart because of that. And we did it. 45 cities. Holy shit. So crazy, man. So crazy that I pulled it off and just took so many goddamn flights and just left every other week. It was crazy, man. It's funny because I went from Fort Lauderdale. I flew right to Oakland. I grew up about 10-15 minutes away from Oakland and California. I think there's another Oakland in like Pennsylvania or something. And hung out with my family for legitimately until the day you're watching this, until I got back last night. So I was there for about 4 or 5 days. And it was it was funny, man. I've been feeling like physically not great. I think it's for a number of reasons. To be honest, I stopped smoking weed for a little while. I was on East Coast time, so when I got back to the West Coast, I was tired at a normal hour, and so I just went to sleep. And I was just kind of seeing how long I could go without it, just to kind of detox my body. I very much enjoy smoking weed almost every night, to be honest, and it's my glass of wine at the end of the night. I don't really do it during the day. Again, it's how I unwind. I don't really drink as much anymore, unless it's the holidays. Your boy drank a lot when I was home, dude. So many just IPAs and shit that I never drink. So I think it was coupled with I just haven't physically been feeling super great. I think it's the lack of, it's kind of the withdrawing from weed. It was a little more alcohol than I'm used to, and just being bouncing around the West Coast, East Coast. It was a little bit much, but for some reason I feel like the travel has finally caught up to me. Like I just feel like I physically got like hit by something, and so it's funny. I was such a trooper this whole time, so I feel like my body almost knows that the tour was over, and so now I finally get to just be like, oh. So anyways, I'm just being real with how I'm feeling right now. I'm really happy I was still able to knock this out for you guys, and I'm liking the length of these podcasts, by the way. I think 30 to 40 minutes is nice. So I hope you guys have been enjoying this. I've been liking this format a lot better. I'm going to really stick with this, keep this going every week. And had a great time Christmas. My parents split up when I was 8, and they always lived like 10 minutes away from each other, so I saw them both a lot. And when I went to college, my dad moved to Dallas for work, and he was there for years, and legitimately moved back to the Bay Area like 2 years ago. It was right after COVID, and this was my first Christmas I've had both parents in the same town in like over 10 years. So it was really special, man. Kaylee came down on Christmas Eve, which happened to be my dad's birthday as well. Happy birthday, Dad. And we just had a great time, man. I'm so grateful. I have such an amazing family, and I've really hit the lottery with my parents, and just had a great time, man. Kaylee and I are doing amazing, and she was such a great piece of the experience for me, and I'm very grateful for her as well. I'm gonna talk more about people that made this, really made this whole tour happen for me, and on the next podcast, I want to do the next podcast, I want to do like a tour, like a post-tour episode where I kind of talk about my favorite shows, experiences I had, and really lean on doing a Q&A. So I'm going to post a Q&A, a couple days before I record, and please just send me any questions that you have about the tour. It can be literally about anything, like who had the worst food, what was your favorite show, what was your the hardest part of the travel, like just really any questions. I would love to answer them as I kind of reminisce back on, as the new year starts, reminiscing back on this, what a year I've had. So I don't want to get too much into my genuine, feelings of who did what and who was there for me. But anyways, that'll be next week. And that's it, man. That's the podcast. Real quick, just want to say rest in peace to Neil Nanda, comedian who passed away around the holidays. Don't really know what happened there, and it doesn't matter what happened. The point is that we lost someone of our community and someone that I've known for years. I don't want to be one of these dudes who comes on and says, what great friends we were. I always said what up to him. He was always nice, always funny, just a good dude, super talented, really hardworking, and it fucking sucks, man. You hate losing anybody that and especially people in this community. There's a lot of love in it, and so I think everyone really felt that one. So all you can do at this point is you do the tell people you love them, gratitude. Right, and then also go watch this guy's work, man. Go to Neil Nanda's Instagram and his YouTube and just watch his work, man. He's a fucking crusher, and I think that's the best way to honor him. So, look, man, appreciate you guys again. Hope you had a great holidays. Hope you're healthy and feeling good, and I'll be back next week with a post-tour Q&A. Hit me up with your questions, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a good rest of the week.